Welcome back to Houston Life. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. It's a great time for a mental health check and to know when everyday stresses and anxiety have become something more. Joining me now is mental health expert Edgar Tello with more on how to start open and supportive conversations around mental health, also the resources available. Edgar, glad to have you here. I feel like for a lot of people, telling the difference between I'm just feeling stressed out, I'm having anxiety, and actually having a serious problem is kind of a fine line. So how do we know when to seek help?
Yeah, I think what you're mentioning is really important. You know, daily stress, daily anxiety is something that a lot of us deal with, right? And so the difference between that and knowing when to find help is when it becomes prolonged. Anxiety and depression, stress is something, like I mentioned, that all of us work through, but it's not something that is ever long lasting, or it shouldn't be. If it ever does, that's a good moment to start looking to seek help. When it starts flowing into having problems sleeping, causing problems at work, at school, in our relationships, right? With our friends, with our families, those we love, it's probably a good moment to go and seek some help.
Last year alone, you reached nearly 90,000 individuals. That's pretty incredible impact. Do you find from your clients that starting that conversation, taking that first step is the most difficult part?
Sometimes it can be. Looking towards that first step, a lot of the times is difficult, and having somebody to support and help you with it can be very, very important. You know, if we have family members that can aid those people in taking that big first step, it can really transform somebody's lives, you know, looking for help. And, you know, in general, that's exactly what we look to do at the Harris Center, transform lives.
So the Harris Center for Mental Health and IDD is the full name.
Correct.
And I think what is really important is that you do not deny patients care based on their ability or inability to pay.
Right. I think that's worth reiterating, right? We take everybody, whether or not they have the ability to pay, whether or not they have insurance. All they have to do is come see us at one of our clinics or call our crisis line number.
The crisis line, this is something that is available 24/7, and this is an anonymous or confidential line.
So it's a person calling, right? The crisis line experts or specialists, they may require information just so that they know how to better help. And so what they do a good job at is, one, assessing for risk. So seeing if more immediate emergency services are necessary. Sometimes they are. Another thing that they do is help with doing coping strategies, safety planning, if you know, safety risk is a concern. And lastly, what they also help with is helping to connect with other resources to help after the crisis is adverted, or resources that a person may need afterwards.
And Edgar, let's say that someone we love, a family member, a friend, just doesn't seem like their self. Maybe they're not performing well at work, they're talking about being stressed out, but they're blowing it off like, I'm just stressed out, it's no big deal. How do we support someone we love in their time of need?
Right, I think that's very, very important. A good way to support them, I like to think about it like this, is coming at it from an angle of compassion, but also curiosity. I think curiosity brings out a lot of natural questions that we can ask. You know, things like you said, maybe they're not being themselves, just straight up asking, hey, I've noticed that you look rather stressed, maybe more than usual. How can I try to support you? Is a good way for the conversation to start and, you know, hopefully walk towards getting some help.
Let's talk a little bit more about these numbers from the Harris Center. So we mentioned nearly 90,000 individuals served in 2025 alone, more than 300,000 access and crisis line calls answered. Also televisit, health, pharmacy health. I mean, the numbers here are really, really staggering. And I feel like that underscores what great need there is here in our community.
Yeah, I think, you know, Houston is one of the largest cities in the country, and so it makes sense that the numbers would be so big, right? But also, one of the things that can help improve or you know, outreach more is letting people know what resources are out there in the community. You know, I think, you know, this show does a good job with segments like this and bringing awareness and helping those people connect to services that might be helpful in the future.
Are there any myths, Edgar, that our viewers should be aware of, we should all know when it comes to mental health? Because I feel like there is still such a stigma out there. During COVID, it seems like we were starting to have more conversations. Is it fair to say there is still so much stigma out there, even though progress has been made?
That's very, very fair to say, yes. I think it's that worry or fear of being judged for seeking help that's very necessary. I like to tell my patients a lot of the times, we wouldn't ignore, right? We wouldn't ignore chest pains and just feel like we have to just live through it and kind of muscle through, right? Mental health is exactly the same way, right? We should take care of ourselves, help our loved ones take care of each other by, like we were talking earlier, mentioning things that we notice are changing, noticing changes in mood, right, in sleep, in appetite is also very, very important.
And Edgar, as a mental health professional, you know that our mental health is deeply connected, intrinsically connected to our physical health as well. And it can actually physically make us sick.
Yeah, I think there's many, many examples, right? Stress is one easy one that I think most of us have experienced at least once in our lives, right? Stress can be seen with muscle tension, right? We feel it in our shoulders, we feel it in our necks, in our backs whenever we're stressed. Anxiety is another one, right? A lot of the times we feel it in our stomachs and in our backs, physically, right? Depression, we might have a loss of energy, not really have a lot of motivation to do things that we normally are able to do without a problem. And so it does show, both physically and mentally how connected those two things are.
Edgar Tello, we got to leave it there. We're out of time, but thank you so much for stopping by Houston Life, and thanks for the work you do in our community.
Thank you for having me. You can reach more help at theharriscenter.org or by calling our crisis line at 713-970-7000 using option 1 or just calling 988.
Okay, fantastic. And we will also be putting those resources on our website for a link to those resources. Again, the Harris Center. You can visit our website, look for that scene on Houston Life section. Thanks once again, Edgar.
Thank you.
All right.